To many younger Americans, the Vietnam War is something they only read about in the history books. But today, a group of La Crosse college students heard that war come to life through the memories of Captain Charlie Plumb. Plumb was a naval aviator who was shot down and captured and spent 6 years in a POW camp. Plumb is now a motivational speaker, and he shared his story with an audience at Viterbo University this afternoon. This evening. Earlier in the day, though, News 19's Heather Armstrong spent some time with him as he told students about how choosing to have a good attitude can make all the difference.
Acid does more harm in the vessel it's stored than on the subject it's poured.
That's the quote that changed the course of Charlie Plumb's life, a Navy pilot who was shot down over Vietnam and held captive for 6 years.
I see my story not as a war story, not as a military story, but a story with a guy that faced a big-time problem.
Charlie was shot down in his F-6 Phantom and brought to the Hanoi Hilton. And yet Captain Charlie Plumb says he's no hero, just a man who avoided mental suicide at the hands of his captors.
We didn't have so much as a pencil or a piece of paper for 2,103 days, so you have to keep your mind active, and that means if you don't have any external inputs, you have to dream it all up yourself.
Plumb was just 24 then, full of life, newly married, and excited to serve his country. But this is Charlie after he was captured. The picture, he says, is both good and bad for many reasons.
I was shot down on Ho Chi Minh's birthday, the president of their country, 19th of May. I didn't know it at the time. And so this is me. This picture was taken of me as I am bowing to Ho Chi Minh. My family got this picture. And so that was the first they knew that I was alive.
But this great motivator almost didn't share his story.
I found myself nose to nose with this guy. Lines in his brow and anguish in his face, and he said, and he was crying. And he said, "Mr. Plumb, you really got to me there." He said, "I've had a miserable year. My family is falling apart. My job is terrible." He said, "I even wondered if I wanted to go on living." He said, "You've given me hope."
Well, Charlie Plumb spent 2,301 days in captivity. He says besides a good mental attitude, poetry and Bible verses kept him going. Well, stay with us. Dan's weather forecast is